Okay, so we are done with the technology unit. I believe there might be something next week, but this week we're not going to really be talking that much about technology. We are going to spend the week writing a narrative, so it's a full week of writing. So let's go ahead and head over to Google Classroom. We're not writing an essay where we have to do research or things like that. It's a fictional story. You're writing your own story, basically. Kind of like the night thing, yeah. But you guys will have a ton more things to choose from versus just me telling you have to write about a night, right? So over on Google Classroom, it should be posted now. The assignment is called Narrative Graphic Organizer. And there are two things here. The first thing that we need to look at is the narrative prompts. So a narrative is when you are basically writing a short story. It's like writing a book, but shorter. There are 32 prompts that you can choose from. I don't care which one you do. I'm not going to force you guys to, everybody has to do a different one. I don't care which one you do. You get to choose one and you write a story based off of this. So, once you choose yours, we'll go over it in just a second. There is a set of Google Slides that is part of the grade. That is where you're planning out what's happening in your story so that you have this idea. And then starting tomorrow, you guys will start actually writing the story. But today you're doing the planning. So it starts off, let me get zoomed in. It starts off going through what happens at the beginning of your story, some events that lead up to the middle, the climax, the big part of your story, and then it goes down to the falling actions, the things that are kind of wrapping up your story, and then the conclusion. How does it end? So just some basic ideas. None of this has to be in complete sentences. It's just letting me know little bits about what you're going to be writing about. The complete sentences come when you actually write your story, right? There is a couple of other things. Description of a character's appearance. What's your character's name? What do they like? What do they dislike? Things like that. So the second page is a little bit about who your main character is. Third slide is what the story is mainly about. And you just kind of circle the ones that it's mainly about. What problem do they face? So what's the conflict in the story? How do they respond to it? So how do they overcome whatever problem is happening in the story? And then on the last slide, it talks about the setting. So where is this happening? When is it happening? So it gives you a really good idea of everything that needs to go in your story and lays it all out for you so that you can just write from there. So the things that you get to choose from, there's a lot. Some of them are really weird, honestly. Number one, imagine that you're walking to school and a time machine suddenly appeared on the sidewalk. What happens after, right?
I like the last one.
Number two, what would you do if you found a magic lamp that granted you 3 wishes, but you could only use them on other people? So not for yourself, only on other people. Number 3, what would you do if you were magically turned into broccoli and were getting ready to be cooked and eaten? I told you, some of them are weird. Number 4, one Christmas I got a unicorn and ... Number 5, one morning I woke up and was underwater except I could breathe, and then ... Number 6, what would you do if 20 feet tall fluffy bunnies were attacking the world? Weird. Number 7, all of a sudden your best friend runs into the room and says, the aliens that run the earth are coming to arrest you. Run fast. Number 8, what would you do if you were living on an earth that had been taken over by aliens? You were very poor and the government said that they'd pay you a lot of money to do chemical tests on you, but they didn't know what it would do to your body or even if it would kill you. Would you do it? What would you do? Number 9, one day you come home from school and an owl is sitting in your room with an acceptance letter to Hogwarts. How would you react? Yes, Charlie, Hogwarts. I figured you would. Number 10, one time I fell asleep in class and when I woke up, ... Number 11, what would you do if one day you realized you were the only person in your family who wasn't a ghost? Yeah.
What?
Number 12. Today was another boring day on summer break until number 13. Over the summer, I went to the ocean, and while I was swimming, a shark came right next to me. Then, dot, dot, dot. Number 14. It was a noise that I had never heard before. I looked in the bushes and saw a unicorn. And then, number 15. One morning, I was getting ready for school. I went to get my shoes from my closet and was teleported to dot, dot, dot. Number 16. One time, I accidentally turned my teacher into dot, dot, dot. I've done this before with my old students. I've been turned into some weird things in the stories before.
Like what?
I was a rat one time. I was like, wow, that's a little bit rude, but all right. So, you know, yeah, it's mostly animals. I get turned into different animals for some reason. And then they have to, one of the stories that a kid wrote, you cannot take their idea because that's plagiarizing, but they wrote a story based off of that one when they accidentally turned me into some animal. I don't remember which one. And the whole class had to go on like a adventure to find the potion that would turn me back into a human. It's kind of cool. I was glad they wanted to turn me back.
When was that, last year?
Maybe last year, maybe the year before that. I don't know. I don't think I got to do this with last year's class because we usually do this at the end of the year and we didn't have school yet. All right, number 17. What would you do if a wizard came into your house and turned you into a painting? Number 18. What would you do if you woke up and you were Siri stuck in someone's phone? Number 19. One day I came home from school and Tinkerbell was eating all the food in my pantry. She then, dot, dot, dot. Number 20. One day you're sitting on your bed working on homework and suddenly you feel something terrible, like an earthquake. You look outside and you see an enormous Teletubby. What happens next? Number 21. You hear a strange noise. You look behind you and see SpongeBob chasing you with a pencil, trying to draw a mustache on you. You then, dot, dot, dot. Number 22. What would you do if you found a piece of paper with a plot of your death? Number 23. What would you do if the little Einstein's rocket ship crash landed in your backyard and they needed help fixing their ship? Number 24. What if for a whole day everything you heard and everything people said to you knew was a lie? Number 25. One time I was at a sleepover and suddenly the Kool-Aid man busted through the wall and said, number 26, if you had a free day at any theme park, what would be every single thing that you would do? Number 27, write about the happiest moment in your life. Number 28, what would you do if you, write about what you'd do if you woke up one day and your entire family was giant robot chickens. Number 29, one time I was at a zoo eating a banana and suddenly, number 30, when I came home from school yesterday, my house was turned into a giant potato. Number 31, driving to school, my parent/bus driver, so however you get home from school, or to school, was suddenly engaged in a high-speed car chase. And number 32, what would you do if you found $1 billion in a porta potty? I've gotten some funny answers to that one too before. I don't remember a lot of them, but just I don't know. The first year, one of my kids wrote a really weird story about that one, so that's all I remember.
There's a lot of good ones.
So there are a lot of good ones. Like I said, I'm not going to force you guys to be like, okay, so you did number 1, you did number 2, you did number 3. I want you to choose the one that you want to do. I don't care which one it is. Whatever story you write from it needs to be a good length. You're not writing 5 sentences and you're done. It needs to be a solid page of typing. Like, it needs to be a good long story, not just a paragraph and you're done. You got to get a good beginning, middle, and end out of your story. Does that make sense? It needs to at least fill a whole page of typing. Got it? That's a lot of writing. No, it has to be 12-point font. You can't use 37-point fonts to fill up the page. 12-point fonts, 12-point font. You can double space it. That's fine. That's usually how writing is done nowadays, especially in junior high and high school. They ask you to double space 12-point font. So you can double space it, which makes it a little bit less to write. But it does need to be at least 1 page long, which means you need to type at least a full page of a story. You can go as long as you want to. I don't care how long it is, as long as it meets the 1-page mark. Does that make sense? So, what you're going to do today is first choose the one that you want to work on. Again, I don't care which one it is. Choose the one you want to work on. And once you have chosen one, you go over to the graphic organizer and start filling out the different sections of what's going to be happening in your story. You have a week to do it. It's not like you're doing it like boom, boom, boom. Start today with the planning. Just start writing down little things that you want in your story. The more planning that you do, the easier it's going to be to write the full story. So you guys are all capable of doing this, especially because you guys are weird and have weird imaginations. So you can totally take it wherever you want to, as long as it stays appropriate, and it doesn't get too gory and violent, right? Because that becomes an issue with your age and that you shouldn't be that violent. So, so choose one and get working on the graphic organizer. That is what we're working on today. Is there any questions about what needs to be done today? What? I feel like that has nothing to do with what I just asked, nor does it make me feel like you were listening at all when I was just talking. Okay, sure. So go ahead and be working on that. I'm going to stop the recording, turn on a little bit of music.